Guys, welcome back to D-Life HD. This is Victor, and today we're going to be breaking down a recent figure I got from a friend from the Monster Hunter franchise. We might do a little bit of a review type thing, but overall we're just going to discuss it and how it correlates to the recently announced Monster Hunter Rise that'll be coming out in March of 2021. So without any further delay, let's jump right into it. Alright, so this is a really awesome Monster Hunter figure. It's really fleshed out. In fact, you can see right here, it's even got this little wooden slab for a type of display purposes. And we call this guy the Nargacuga. This is a Bandai figure, and their higher end figures are pretty well known for being sturdy and very posable and just very high quality on the paint job. As you can see here, we've got little pink areas on the side of the wings. There's just a lot of attention to detail within this figure right here, and I'm really excited because for those who don't know me very well, I am a huge Monster Hunter fan, and I've never really owned a figure of this degree before because whereas I do like collectibles and things of that nature, they just tend to be really expensive. So I was blessed in the fact that my friend actually purchased this for me, and I thought, well, with the recently announced Monster Hunter games, why not give it a discussion video for D-Life? So monsters in Monster Hunter have different tell signs that they are enraged or they're furious, and a lot of times when that happens, their attacks will become more aggressive. They may have specific attacks that they can't do unless they're enraged. And so what I like about this figure is that you can actually switch it to enraged mode, which it's in right now. And one difference in one of those tells that I discussed is you can see in the eyes, it's more enraged and red, and in the actual game they glow red, and they you can see his eyes tracing lines when it moves around. And another tell sign is the tail actually becomes more spiky as it becomes more aggressive, and it can shoot these little spikes out at the player that it normally wouldn't be able to do. And so you can actually switch it out. Here's what the regular tail would look like. Very interesting here. You can see, as opposed to the other one, this one has no actual spikes on it, which I really like. You can have different modes for it. And then we have just a normal head right here, and this one is it's a little bit less glowing in the eyes, and there's less red around the mouth because it's less furious in that way. Also, another cool thing about it is in Monster Hunter games, one of the whole purposes of the game is to get different parts from the monsters. And so you can break off pieces of its head and its arms and all these different pieces for different monsters. And on the Nargacuga, you can actually cut off its tail. So that's something that's unique to a few monsters in the games. You can actually cut off their tails. So there's actually a little stub piece for putting at the end right here for if you want to act like you just cut the tail off of the monster, and I think that that is an awesome addition. Also, provided in this little kit here, we have a small hunter figure. It's actually paintable, I believe, but I'm probably just going to leave it blank because I like the way it looks. Red, it's a Rathalos armor, and to me, it's not exactly scale. I feel like the Nargacuga itself is a little bit giant compared to this right here, but I guess it is still a little addition to this awesome kit, and I am all over more additions. Also, it comes with this final piece, and this is for display purposes. It is a transparent little claw, so if you need to position him maybe higher up, you can connect it in somewhere around the neckline or maybe below where the waist is, and that will support the figure if you want to do a more aggressive pose. Actually, on the back of the box, it displays him more in a position like this, and so having that little hook here to support the Nargacuga and place it into here will make a lot of sense. Of course, there's a lot of adjusting that has to go on when you do a figure like this, and I'm not used to it yet, but there's a lot of different positions, which means that it tends to be pretty fragile, and so you have to make sure you position it correctly. And then it's got movable wings, which I think is really cool. Different positions you can do. You know, you can kind of put them back more like this, or you can have them out in full display. Oh, there goes the hand. That's another thing. These figures tend to be fragile. And the design towards the back end of the monster is very posable as well. Let's go ahead and move this out of the way. Very posable back here. With the tail, every single section of the tail is fully movable. So if you want to do like, maybe if you're doing like a computer or a photo animation, you can move that tail moving back and forth. It's just very posable back there for display purposes again. And then the back piece right here is very movable up and down. So if you want to have him more like this, more like aggressive like that, or if you want to have him just like in a normal position on all fours, that is completely doable. That's one thing that I really like about this figure is, you know, you can have a more statue-based model that kind of only has one position, and that's cool, and that's awesome because it's from a franchise you might enjoy, like I enjoy Monster Hunter. Or you can have something like this that is way more posable for if you want to move it in different ways. You know, I've done some other little pictures I've taken here and there, and that is really cool to have a posable figure because I can pose them with other smaller figures that I've collected. So, if I had to give a score, I guess, to the Nargacuga itself, I would definitely say that it is a 9 out of 10. It's a little bit fragile, which I guess comes with the posability of the figure, and so if that was changeable, I would change that, but otherwise I'd say this is a near perfect figure, and I'm really excited to have it in my little merchandise collection. And I know this is a little bit different of a video, but I'm going to tie it in really quick to Monster Hunter Rise in this way. Nargacuga tends to show up in the more mountainous regions, which on Monster Hunter there is a specific map called the Misty Peaks, which is inspired by a lot of Japanese landscape and that type of thing. It's like I said, it's very mountainous. There's a lot of forest like there is in Japan, and it came with the Monster Hunter game called Monster Hunter Portable Third, which was a portable version of the third game. Funny there. And what was interesting about it is the village in the game, it's called Yukumo, and it's very inspired by old Japanese architecture. Now, if you've been following Monster Hunter Rise at all, you will know that the new Monster Hunter game is also very inspired by the Japanese architecture. That's how the village in the game is. Out on the maps, there's these more old ruins of Japanese style buildings. And so certain monsters are inspired by creatures that live in Japan. And Nargacuga is inspired by a bat. And another monster that came from that game is the Zenogre. And I also like, he's one of my favorite monsters. I actually have a pop figure of the Zenogre, which I can put right here. And so I'm really hoping, since this monster comes from a more Japanese background and likes to hang out in those maps, that's typically where you might fight an Nargacuga, in those mountainous region maps, that we will see this monster come to Monster Hunter Rise. Nargacuga is really, really cool. He's got a lot of awesome attacks. He was the flagship monster from the second Monster Hunter game, and so I'm hoping that they'll put him in this game. He is actually in Monster Hunter World, which is the home console big Monster Hunter game. So I think there's a pretty good chance that we will see Nargacuga come in Monster Hunter Rise.
Alright guys, thanks for watching. We love talking to you guys. Remember to like and subscribe for more videos like these. Lastly, check out our Twitter account and gameplay for the latest releases. And also, don't forget to check out our community Discord linked below. But most importantly, always remember to stay one up.